Okay, this is the Tuesday, July 30th, 2024 meeting of the Somerville Conservation Commission. I am Michael Fager. I am the chair. We will have the commission introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan O'Brien, Commissioner.
Megan.
Megan Kearns, Commissioner.
David.
David Torn, Commissioner.
There's one other commissioner right now, Newton. I assume he's going to show up, but he's not here yet. Okay. And then we have two other people on the screen.
I'm Wendy Pouliot from Boss Lab. I'm the director of a nonprofit organization in Cambridge.
Okay.
And I'm Christine Felice. I'm a member of Boss Lab. I'm here with Wendy.
Okay. Malik, we're supposed to have a hearing on an order of conditions from the Watershed Association. Are they present?
I just promoted two people from offshoots and one person from the Horsley Witten group. And there is one person from Myra that I will promote to a panelist. And then we have 5 attendees with the exception of those people. We have several attendees from these places. So I will promote everyone affiliated with those companies to a panelist so that they could speak or share their screen if needed. So there, it looks like we do have a few people. So anyone who is here to speak to the notice of intent, Amy, I'm suspecting that's you. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
I assume, Amy, that you are going to be the main presenter since your name is on the document.
I will introduce the project, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kate Cannon, who's the project designer.
Okay.
Actually, I think I'll turn it over to Carl Alexander first, and then Kate.
Sounds good. I will be sharing my screen with the slides.
That sounds great.
Oh,
Great.
the participant screen sharing is disabled. If there's a way to change that, Malik.
Take care of that.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we hear from Carl first? Carl, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Great. Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much. Just wanted to share a brief introduction on behalf of the Mystic River Watershed Association. My name is Carl Alexander. I serve as our Greenways Program Manager. Just thank you so much for the opportunity to present here this evening with our consultant team at Offshoots and Horsley Witten. We have Kate Kennan and Amy Ball, and also Jack Beresford. And also just wanted to give also a quick thank you to the extended order of conditions for the meadow establishment that was provided in June. So thank you very much for that. I was at a conference and wasn't able to make that meeting. And so tonight, yeah, we're going to hear about proposed work funded by a Somerville ARPA nonprofit award, which needs to be spent down by the end of September. So thank you so much for your time and consideration of the work that Amy and Kate are going to detail. And without further ado, I'll just hand it on over to Kate to kick things off.
Sure. Great. Everyone can see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So you guys can see on the
Wait. Tell us who you are.
Thanks. Thanks, Michael. Kate Kennan from Offshoots. I'm the principal in charge and a registered landscape architect.
Okay.
Great. So everyone knows where Blessing of the Bay Park is, shown on the left, but we're excited to make these improvements to the 10 Hills neighborhood, both a regional and a neighborhood destination. And on the right, you sort of see the extent of the proposed vegetation management that we're talking about today, which is really kind of an extension of the overall work that we've started in 2021, providing the new pollinator meadow down at the corner shown in bright yellow there. And this is all a basically continuation of the master plan work we did with Myra and the city on this is DCR property. It's a continuation of the master plan work that we did with the community that looked at reprogramming the entire park area. And what we've been doing is starting to take on those ideas one chunk at a time. So the first one was this yellow area shown down here, shown as the meadow. One of the big ideas was about having a new cycling path that goes along the edge of Shoreline Drive, which there's been a temporary one implemented, and then also improving the natural areas along the river. So these were the concept images from the master plan. And it was the concept of the park was about the tagline was bringing nature home. So people wanted to interact with the landscape and get to know the river and be closer to wildlife, not have it be a green mown lawn. And so we did a deep ecological study of not only the animals and the pollinators that live there, but also the plants that support them. And following that, once the master plan was completed in 2020, the city did the temporary cycle track that's out on the street. And then DCR started doing some native tree improvements shown in the bottom image. And then also started doing some path improvements. And then, as I mentioned, in 2021, Myra got a grant that we could start to do some meadow work. So we had permitted 3 different sections of meadow. We had the funding enough to do the first one, which is down by Route 28. And you can see in the images the kind of art installation that we did with the Healy School and the meadows as they're getting established now. And so what this project really does is it continues that work along the shoreline. So the extents of the project, as I mentioned, are about half of the park. And what we're looking to do is to do invasive management. You can see this edge right here. Our meadow, this is in this upper middle corner image, there is a railing right here. And right across is where our meadow is. And all of this tansy and mugwort and swallowwort and things are moving aggressively, and we want to manage them before they get into our meadow. So the idea is invasive plant management, mostly the sunny areas in the front. And then also there's some invasive bittersweet and vines that we would like to go after, as well as multiflora rose is shown in the bottom left. Tree of Heaven is shown in the middle here. And there's quite a few Norway maple saplings. The idea is really to only address things that are under about 2-inch caliper and smaller, and really try to go after these sunny areas that are really taking over along the edge of the tree canopy. The idea then is also to plant native plants, which I'll walk you through.
All right,
in a
wait,
minute.
stop for a second
Sure.
there, Kate.
Yep. Sure.
I have a question about the trees. You said that
Yeah.
you've got the Tree of Heaven and the Norway maple.
Yep.
And we both know that they're extremely fecund trees. And you say you don't want to take anything that has a diameter larger than 2 inches. Why not? I mean, that's just, you know that the remaining Norway maple trees are going to be seeding in everything every year.
Yeah. I mean, the issue is, Michael, there's so many in there, and we would open up so much of the tree canopy that, and there's other invasive plants in there as well in the canopy species. And because we're trying to get that passive cooling of the river, the trees do other things. So what we're going to try to do is kind of look at that understory and get more of a native seed bank, but we're not going to take down every last tree of the invasives, or that's not what we're intending right now, just because it does provide shade to the river, and Somerville in general likes to keep up the trees for the evapotranspiration and trying to keep the canopy trees. So DCR typically, that's their objective along rivers, is that they keep the canopy trees to provide that cooling.
Well, explain to me then how this isn't throwing good money after bad, because those mature trees are going to stay. And I have a Norway maple in my neighbor's backyard, and every year I get rid of like 100 or more new shoots that come up in my backyard. And I'm sure that, in a situation like this, where no one's going to be going around doing that, it's just going to get dense with Norway maples again, or Atlantis,
Yeah, no, understood, Michael. I mean, what we would expect is that we will start to see new saplings. What we're really trying to focus our objective on is really most of the work is going to be these areas in front of the canopy, so that we can address the perennial and annual invasives that are moving into the meadow. So these are really our most important target areas. We wanted to have this NOI be able to address some of the understory, because we really wanted to open up the vines and create a little bit of viewpoint into the river as well. And I'll show you some of those view sheds. So yes, I think long-term you will see saplings grow up. But when you cut the saplings, the saplings aren't there long term. And I do think some of these areas in the bright sun areas, if we put in a bunch of new aggressive native plants to establish, that we'll be able to get a good base. So I'd much rather do something and get it on an ecological trajectory to spread new native seeds than doing nothing. So we will always be battling. We live in a global garden. We're always going to be battling it. If we take down every last plant, there's other ecological benefits that we lose. So it's sort of like finding a balance of what makes the most sense to do. So that's sort of that's the idea. I'll keep going, Michael, and then I'm going to let Amy talk about the resource areas and delineations, and we can talk about this more if you'd like, for sure.
No, go ahead.
Okay, Amy, I'm going to let you describe sort of the resource areas that are impacted here.
Sounds good. Amy Ball, senior ecologist with the Horsley Witten Group. So the reason we're before the commission is there are a number of resource areas at the site. Along the river, you've got your inland bank, you've got your associated bordering land subject to flooding, riverfront area, and buffer zones. There is also a BVW sort of in the central portion there. That area is not going to be touched. We're going to stay out of the BVW altogether. We're going to stay out of the water altogether. And really focus on that slope up to the top, as Kate was saying. So we do have a number of sort of resource area impacts to the extent that we are going in and cutting vegetation and then replacing it with native species. And for all of the resource areas, we've provided the commission with an explanation of the performance standards. For flood zone, there will not be any filling of the flood zone and therefore would not need any compensatory flood storage. For riverfront area, it's basically replacing non-native vegetation with vegetation that is native and pollinator friendly, and same goes for the buffer zone. If we were not in the flood zone, at the very least, we would be able to do the plantings within the riverfront area and the buffer zone as an exempt activity. But for the resource areas of the flood zone and also the work to manage the invasives, so we're here, for those reasons with a notice of intent. If you want to go to the next slide there.
Sure.
Okay, there you go, and then you can show them. So the extent here is that you can see the blue area is the BBW, and no work will be occurring within that area there. And it's sort of the pink or reddish shaded areas that cover where we've identified the invasives and the areas for plantings. In this photo, you can see that I think the dark blue line that runs along the shoreline, just up gradient, is the flood zone. We used the preliminary flood zone elevation of 4.4. I think previously had been just elevation 4. So we're trying to, be cognizant of future conditions on the site too. And then your riverfront area is a black dashed line there, parallels is 25 foot. And then you've got the 100-foot buffer that kicks off of the bank and then the BBW.
Yep. Thanks, Amy.
All right, yours.
I'm going to describe it a few more things. This is basically the plan that shows the extent of the invasive plant removal, and it's through here in the red. And then the idea is, the really important kind of piece of this is that we would do a bit more where these roads come down and intersect Shore Drive. It's Crest Hill Road, Melville Road, and Temple Road. The idea is they're between where these dashed lines are shown right now. Were identified on the master plan as potential new view corridors getting opened up to the river so that you actually felt connected from the park to the river. So per your comment, Michael, this is where we were hoping to do a bit more work and a bit more pruning work to kind of open these up and allow views to the river while also providing new native vegetation. We're also showing erosion control along the edge where we would put in a straw wattle along the base of the shoreline before we do any of this work in any place where we're working. So here are those 3 view areas. These are at the end of the 3 roads, as I mentioned. You can see there's already basically community members opening these up and people walking down to them ad hoc and creating, these paths that go down. And this is the one that's over near the boardwalk that crosses under the bridge over by the meadow. And it's really, really thick. And this is that spot in the front that I was talking about, Michael, that we really want to manage that invasive management invasive perennials in the front. So the idea here, sorry, and in terms of those view openings is also to do the work about to 8-foot height. So the idea is not to cut the trees completely down, but to open up a pocket that you'd be able to see through. We're not too worried about erosion on the slope because the entire slope is this granite revetment, which is hard to believe. But if you go underneath most of the existing vegetation that's there, there's this granite revetment that's there. So where we do open these up, and if people decide to go down to the water, we do have some protection from potential erosion. And where we do have pockets is where we could consider planting some of the woodland vegetation wherever we take anything out. So in terms of what we're proposing to plant, the idea is the biggest priority is actually to first start with the funding through September by looking at from Route 28 all the way along this edge, this first view corridor, this first spot of purple planting, the purple planting that's here along the path, and then this second view corridor and this third view corridor up here. The rest of it, we would like to permit in case, hopefully that we'll get additional funding in the future, but those are the parts that we're going to prioritize by September 30th. The idea would be the new native plantings we'd like to do pop out bigger than where the existing edge is. So we're trying to put new, bigger, thicker natives along the edge. And then in the view corridors, we wouldn't be planting those taller plants, but instead just using woodland ground covers. So what we did for the plant materials, so we worked on the Somerville Pollinator Action Plan with the city of Somerville and developed a palette of plants native to the eastern US that have the greatest pollinator benefit. So we're going to be planting from those palettes and from the approved plant list from that plan that was just released. So the idea is the native plantings for sun, we were going to mix some of the palettes of the blue and purple magenta, the yellow palette, and the white palette that we have that are supporting all of the different 5 different categories of pollinator species, from bees and flies and beetles to wasps and butterflies. So we're trying to support everyone with our selections. And then, as I mentioned, so that's the bright sun planting that I just showed in purple, and then the darker green that's here. And also this planting all along the left where we would do management in the shade areas, we would start to introduce some understory species of some new shrubs where we don't really need the views, and also some more shade tolerant plants. So in summary, that's basically the project. It's a vegetation project. You know, we can certainly discuss the amount of tree canopy of other invasives to be removed if that's an objective of the commission. We've kind of been following DCR's lead, and since this is DCR's land and what they typically like us to do for understory invasive removal and replanting, rather than the larger trees, but are definitely open to comments. So, Carl, do you have any other kind of closing comments that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think just overall, just again, want to share and express our excitement on the prospect of advancing with this scope of work, and using city provided funds on the timeline they've provided, and really hope that what we've shared here tonight kind of meets your expectations, and we'll do our best to answer any clarifying questions that you might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl. One other quick thing that I forgot to mention is included in the proposal are 4 educational signs. I did not mention those. And the idea here is those would be on the existing railing that I showed in the photos that's here, a small one at each of these view corridors, just to talk about the river and the ecology of the river. So what we mean by these signs is that I wanted to show everyone quick. This is the Hyannis Harbor Kennedy Legacy Trail that I did with offshoots 20 years ago. And these signs are done by Fossil Graphics. They're just a small sign that's on a post, on a powder coated metal post that works really well, and even a sea condition. And they age really well. They look just as good, honestly, as they went in almost 20 years ago when I did this. So the idea is we would create the content for these that have ecological kind of components, and they might, even take you to a QR code or something where you could get more information on the ecology of the river, and link to Myra and the great work that they are doing, as well as the city and DCR. So just thought I would mention that quick too. With that, I am happy to, I'll stop sharing my screen and happy to take comments and can bring it up at any point.
I have a question. Either Amy or Kate can answer this question, but you want to go into a little more in depth on how you intend to do invasive control?
Sure. So because this is DCR land, we follow DCR policies. And so what the idea is that actually offshoots, we are horticultural installers and have certified pesticides applicators on our staff. Our objective would be to do as much manual removal as possible first, just cutting, and then to do dab treatments where needed. We're not planning to do any foliar sprays unless we absolutely have to, but our objective is mostly to do manual first. So say, for example, in the front where we're doing the mugwort and we're taking away the tansy, our objective is just to remove the actual plants and the top couple inches of soil and strip it. And then as the new plants come back, we will spot spray them with herbicide as needed. With that, the herbicide we submitted in the NOI, which is what DCR prefers and acceptable in a riverfront area. And the other kind of tag along with that is we provided a matrix of DCR's preferred methodology for each specific species on the Massachusetts invasive plant list. So we provided that with what they prefer out there. And that's been vetted with the DCR ecologists and many of their landscape architecture staff over the past 3 or 4 years. They've been updating that. So that is their most current one that they're using.
Are you planning on taking soil away?
No, not at all. We're really just going to go in, and I actually expect the areas aren't really big, that we will likely do most of this by hand. And we're going to just come in and take up, like I said, basically dig up the top 3 to 4 inches, but we'll shake out the soil, leave the soil there, and take the plants away, basically. And then we'll manage it with herbicide when we need to for the perennials like mugwort. And if we see garlic mustard or an annual move in, we'll just manage that by cutting, because as long as you don't have the seed source there in the future, we have really good luck just by using cutting for annuals.
I read a couple of different timelines as I was reading this. One said you were going to be monitoring this for a year, and another said perhaps 3 years. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Sure. So our objective is to do the first round of planting and invasive management by the end of September. And then what we would do is for the first year, we would manage the plantings that we put in to make sure that they are watered, that they don't have impacts moving into them. And then we suggested that for 3 years, we will monitor any invasive species moving into those spaces and, potentially do follow-up invasive treatments as well. So the idea is that we know the first year takes more water. That's why we always call it out separately. The first year, we often do quite a bit of hand watering once we put the new plants in, and then it'll really be more about invasive management year 2 and year 3.
Carl.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Sure.
You mentioned that you have funding to do the portion that you talked about, directly now, and that you'd hope to do more with more funding becomes available. Is in your proposal that this be kind of an open-ended order of conditions that allows that, or would you come back with a revision, with a modification or revision, or to go into these additional areas?
I think the objective, Carl, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the objective is, we know that the order of conditions would be, effective for the next 3 years. So the idea is we would work within that timeline and then come back for an extension. Is that what you're thinking, Carl? Or I don't know, Amy or Carl, I'll let you guys weigh in on this question.
Yeah, I mean, we're not there yet, obviously, but if you needed more time to kind of keep the invasives at bay, then perhaps we would come back to the commission in a similar manner that we did with the meadow. Or if there's a change to the approach for any reason, you know, we can talk it over with Malik and ask opinions on whether or not we would need to come back for, you know, some sort of an amendment.
And I wasn't thinking so much about extensions or changes as whether the plan now is to go into other areas, you know, and do the additional clearing, you know, of understory if you get additional funding. That was what I thought I heard. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out whether your expectations that this order of conditions, you know, were awarded would be open-ended to that, or would you need to come back to us with a modification even to do that?
Well, we're hoping to have everything that's shown on that plan that Kate had with all the red along the shoreline being permitted now.
Okay.
And then, you know, start at the sort of eastern end of things over near 28 and work our way as funding becomes available.
Okay. So that's outside. So if you're talking 2028, so it'd be outside the 3-year window of this order of conditions, then likely.
Carl, you were about to say something?
Yeah, and we are potentially looking at some, so we're starting from the right side and going left. And so, you know, there might be an opportunity again under the work that we're hoping to complete by the end of September to go as far as possible, basically, with the funding that we have. And so, since folks will be on site, that's definitely an opportunity, but that wouldn't require us to go back. That'd be within what we're seeking this evening.
We could also do additional volunteer work and stuff, right, Carl? So it's nice to have the opportunity to do some of it.
Yeah. I mean, we are, you know, in addition to, you know, any of the ongoing spot work that Offshoot's proposing, you know, we have a really kind of defined stewardship model at Myra, where, for example, over at Torbert McDonald Park, we received permission from the Conservation Commission in Medford to, you know, to conduct invasive species management work with volunteers and stewards. So that's definitely an effort that we can look to replicate and we're really excited to actually replicate in Somerville as well, with the meadow, with the shoreline, similar efforts in Battle Isle and elsewhere. So definitely an opportunity to really advance that effort and provide additional education to residents along the way as well.
All right, well, I'm going to ask you the hotspot question, Carl. The Watershed Association is the funding agency for this project, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any plans or foreseeability or anything of money for the rest of this project coming in the 3-year duration of this permit? Because Kate told us already that there's not enough funding to do the whole plan, and she's only going to do planting for about 1/3 of it. And the last time you guys came to us with a plan, you came back with an extension earlier this year and still hadn't found the money to complete the plan that was presented 3 years ago. So I want to know, are we going to be presented with a potential plan and only get 1/3 done in 3 years? Or are you guys going to work hard to get the money to complete the plan as you presented to us in this document?
Confidently, yes. We're excited to advance all of our revitalization efforts at Blessing in the Bay. I crunched some numbers today. We've actually raised $2.15 million to date on the park's revitalization efforts. Granted, the largest capital improvement for that is the shared use Shore Drive shared use path portion of the project, but we are like all hands on deck on fundraising right now for the park, and we're getting a lot of, because of that momentum that we've built, we're getting a lot of good feedback again from DCR, who are very supportive of this work. Took a few years for us to get there, and then also, you know, the city's also been very supportive in funding these efforts as well. And you know, again, if we're doing rough numbers, looking to complete 1/3 of under what Kate's proposed tonight, we have funding sources available right now that we might be able to also contribute towards getting that up towards 1/2 or 2/3 as well, depending on where the cards fall. So yeah, really excited.
Well, I'm going to tell you that my expectation is that the Watershed Association will continue to work really hard on trying to get the funding to complete this project. Because I don't want you coming back in 3 years and saying, yeah, we only did 1/3. I didn't feel good about that, especially after we went through the whole process of permitting a project that was only 1/3 done. And I don't want to do that again. If you want to do a project, I want you to make as big an effort as you can and go back to Myra and tell everybody that fundraises that we have this expectation that you're going to find the money to finish this project on time.
Understood.
Michael, I will also say one other nuance about the meadows. The meadows were tricky, right? They were tricky, and it was tricky to establish. It was tricky to do what we did, and I'm really happy with the result. But we had a drought, and then we had a wet year, and we had some other kind of challenges come up against it. And they were a really good model and test, and they're going to be successful moving forward. But they were also quite expensive for the way, for the amount of area covered. And I like our new approach, because what you're going to see in our new approach, that was a seeding approach, right? With herbicide and small little plugs that take a bit more management. And what I like about this new approach and this new NOI is that we're using bigger plants. We're using sapling sized trees. And we're looking at more of a plant community that's going to be happy together going in and can kind of outcompete and be more aggressive than some of the original kind of restrictions that were put on us with DCR, with the original seed mix that we had in the meadows. So we have a much bigger plant list now with more aggressive plants, and I feel really more aggressive native plants, and I feel much better about the objectives of where we can get with this strategy.
Okay. Are there any other questions from anyone?
I just had a quick question. Is there any like proposed fencing around the meadows or anything like that, or it's all open?
Great question. I think our objective is to keep it open right now, because we're going to be planting as much rabbit tolerant stuff as we can. In the past, when we did the meadow, it was seeded and very bare for a long time, but our objective is to actually take down that fence at the end of the year this year. Probably, maybe, yeah, it'll be sometime this fall that it's going to come down, probably before the leaves come down.
Really?
And now I don't mind. And what we were trying to do is keep the dogs and the dog walkers out of it more than anything while the plant's established. Now that it's established, if people want to cut through there, they can. I would rather have them not, but I think it's established enough and now people know it's there. But it's one of the reasons we want to put up the signage, is so that we sort of point out where these installations are as well. And we're going to be coming up with some sort of strategy to mark the edge so DCR knows where to mow as well. So that's going to be something that we're also doing. So, but the objective is not to fence these this time, because we're on the edge by the water, and there's a desire line path along the edge of the shoreline right now. And really, we're going to be planting between the woodland and the desire line path. So it's already kind of on the edge.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. And then if it gets trampled, you'll see fences going up.
Is there any further discussion by anyone on the commission? Is there anybody in our audience that wants to ask questions of these presenters? Malik, is there anyone?
I'm looking at my chat right now and I don't see anyone asking a question. I will look at the attendees and see if anyone has a hand raised. Please bear with me. Let's see. No, I do not. One second. I'm going to allow anyone who isn't allowed to talk to talk. 1 second. Boom. Boom, and boom. Okay, everyone who's an attendee, if you wish to speak, now is a good time. There's 4 attendees I see here. And there we go. And no response.
Okay, then.
There you have it.
All right, then. So for the commission, we have before us a request for an order of conditions for this meadow project an invasive control project on the banks of the Mystic at the Blessing of the Bay Park. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve this order of conditions? Well, before we get there, let me ask the commission a question. Are there any special conditions that we may need or want to put in this order of conditions, or are we okay with what we already have?
I do have a quick question. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of the NOI in front of me. I haven't been able to find a working link, but
I sent it to you.
okay,
in the email.
it was sent a few weeks ago. Yeah, the link in that is expired. It wouldn't open today.
Oh, Commissioner Turin, if I can repost that for you if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great. But meanwhile, though, my more specific question was regarding sediment erosion controls that you guys are planning. I know you talked about it generically. Is there a plan as part of the NOI, or is there a plan that you need to develop under another, the contractor, or with DCR or any other permits you need? Because that would be one of the things that that we often would then refer to or assume that you're going to comply with
an exact planting plan, David. That's what you're asking for.
No, sediment and erosion control.
Oh, sediment and yeah. So there's a sediment and erosion control plan as part of the very first page, and that has shows the location of the erosion control barrier that we would put in.
Okay.
And then in the NOI we specify the product, which is the straw wattle that's staked every 5 feet on center.
Okay.
And it's on the downhill side along the mean high water line.
And there won't be work down gradient or down water side.
That's correct. It's going to be on the lowest side of any work that we're going to be completing, and we'll keep that intact until the new vegetation is established in that area.
Is there kind of an inspection protocol of that to kind of maintain it, make sure that it is replaced as needed? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, Amy, do you want to respond to that? Because
Well, I think, are you asking specifically if we needed a SWIP?
No, I was actually talking more specifically just about, whether there's an inspection schedule, like you'll go out there once a week, you'll go out there after a major storm, that someone will be putting eyes on it.
Yeah.
To see if it needs repair or replacement.
So we have a contract with Myra that we will be doing the management of these areas for that whole first year. So we typically do visit after the large storms because of we are concerned about erosion, and then we're typically there once every 2 weeks watching the invasive. So we're there. And the other great thing is that we get lots of questions from Carl and folks at Myra. They're like, the fence is down, this is happening. So we're kind of on call to take care of those sorts of things.
So going back, Michael, to your question, one of the things that I would look for would be maybe something in order of conditions that it will be inspected once a week, or will be inspected once every 2 weeks and replaced or repaired as needed.
Okay.
I think it's usually after large storm events, and there's a certain right?
Often it's both.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I think just also adding that we would get a copy of your report each year on how the plants are doing and the invasives. But yeah, I'd just add that to the order of conditions as well.
Sure. And if all of you don't know about it, we also created an Instagram page for the meadow. And so we're just gonna basically expand all of this work on that Instagram page too, showing people what we're finding and what we're struggling with, and what we're doing out there. So just know that's also there for everyone to watch. But happy to provide the reports we're doing anyway.
All right, I'm going to ask another question. How do you water? I know the first year you did the meadow was a drought year.
Yeah.
And I know you've noticed that this August has been a drought August.
Really dry. Yeah.
How do you water and maintain a meadow, since clearly there is no water to the site?
Right.
It has to be brought in from somewhere.
So we did no watering in our meadow, in our initial seeded meadow, because we were afraid of pushing out weed growth with it. And the only thing that we watered were the plugs when we first initially installed them, and we did it with a water truck. So that's going to be our same objective here. Is we actually don't own a pump water truck. We just have a gravity fed. We put a big water tank on the back of our dump, and we have a big long hose, and then we water as needed. So our objective is going to be plant during the best season, which is right after Labor Day. We're going to do the invasive management and plant in September, which is the best season. We're going to have 2 growing seasons in cool weather before we get to the hot season next year. And hopefully the majority of it will be established. And if we need to spot water next summer, we will. But then that's why we're using bigger size plants.
Okay. All right, does anyone in the commission have any further questions or discussion? Would someone like to make a motion that we file an order of conditions on this notice of intent?
I can make a motion to issue an order of conditions.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. And I just want to, if it's all right, amend it, as conditioned the way we discussed,
Regarding the erosion stuff.
Road and inspections and the annual report.
Okay, we will have a vote. Excuse me. Commissioner Curran,
Yep. Yes.
Commissioner O'Brien,
Yes.
Commissioner Turin,
Yes.
and Commissioner Fager says yes, and we will note that Commissioner Tedder is not present tonight. So, all right.
Thank you, commissioners. We really appreciate this. It's going to look beautiful. It's going to look so much better.
Thank you very much.
All right,
I'm so
thank you.
excited about being able to open up and see the river.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions or comments? Great. Thank you all for coming, and we'll get this out in a normal, timely fashion.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
great.
Have a
Thank
great
you
night.
so much.
And Malik, I just sent you a link for a refreshed link that if the commissioners want to have access to them again.
Great. Thank you very much.
Worth that alone.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
David, what was your second condition besides erosion control inspection?
Annual report.
Oh, right, the annual report. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. On our agenda, the next thing would be task force reports. David, what's going on in the Community Preservation Committee?
Let me see. We had a meeting last week. And we're initiating a search committee because we need 2 members, two of the members of the public seats are open. So if anyone on the Conservation Commission would like to be on the search committee, I did not volunteer to be on it because the meetings were all during the day and I just can't commit to being able to, attend them.
Because you have a real job.
So I do. I still have an actual job, but I think that they would be receptive to have, because they have a couple of city people, and I think one person, from the general public who is actually the historic, whatever it is, historic commission representative, Eric Parks, volunteered to be on it, but I think it would be good for there to be some other, members of the public on it. So that would be, so that's something, if anyone is interested, they reach out to me and I can connect you with Roberta, who's the CPC city employee. And then the other thing, I mean, we're still kind of, we're just kind of like working through, the early stages of getting applications for the next funding cycle in. There's quite a bit of talk about, the expectation of off-cycle requests for money as costs come in over budget, which is I think relatively common nowadays. But it was a short meeting. There wasn't a whole lot of content. So probably the most important thing would be if anyone was interested in being on search committee for new members.
I know every time I talk to Roberta, she asks me if I want to come back.
It's because she doesn't like me, I guess.
I guess. All right, well, I have a kind of a request.
Okay.
You may recall, when I left the committee, we had given money to the Somerville Community Corporation to purchase property on Richardson Street. It was going to be an affordable housing and a pocket park. And apparently the Somerville Community Corporation was not able to complete this deal.
Yeah.
And Roberta told me that the $200,000 that was given for open space acquisition would be coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, that was discussed at the May meeting.
Yeah. I would strongly request that when that money comes back, it be put in the open space acquisition fund and
Yeah,
not be
so-
used for anything else.
Well, I think it does have to come back to open space because that's what it was allocated for. The issue, in fact, this came up last year because how did it come up? I don't remember exactly how it came up, but the gist of it is the city has to request that money be put into the open space acquisition fund. We can't do it unilaterally. And
I don't understand because the money was specifically
no,
allocated
no.
for the purchase of open space.
It's in, okay. I think this might be more of a kind of a semantic thing. That money will be spent, I believe, on open space, but it's not in the acquisition fund, a specific fund that the city can draw on when a parcel becomes available.
Right.
It's not allocated, so it's back in our reserves, but it's not allocated for, jumping out and putting a bid on property unless it's in the open space acquisition fund. And it can only get into that if the city essentially applies for it to be put in, for X amount of dollars to be put into that fund. So when I realized last year that the city
has to make a specific
the city has
request.
to make a request. And so
Okay.
when I found out last year that the city had not done so, and so therefore we couldn't do it, I kind of hopefully have probably a non-binding but verbal agreement from the city that they will make such a request each year. Yeah, so I'm hoping that will happen but just to be clear, so the money that comes back and the money that's allocated for open space, I suppose there's loopholes. I suppose we can reallocate it if we want, but without some special effort, it will go to open space and recreation, but it can't go to it until it's allocated, through this selection process.
Okay. All right, so we'll have to talk to the people in the city about that.
Yeah,
I just think it would be.
I'm just going to try and make a mental note that each year, make sure that that's one of the proposals we get.
Yeah, because I just think it would be a shame that this money that was specifically allocated for purchase of open space would be used for something else. But
yeah, like I said, I'm not so concerned that it be used for something else, but it takes another step to get it into the acquisition fund so that the city can move adroitly if a parcel becomes available.
okay. What about, have you guys, I've heard rumors that there's a move afoot to increase.
Yes, I guess I should have reported on that. It was unclear to me whether that's public. I guess it is because I think there was a hearing.
It's going to have to be public because it's going to be on the ballot.
Yeah, well, did that happen? There was going to be, so what I understand is right now, folks in Somerville are taxed 1.5% of their property value minus 100,000, an initial 100,000. So it's 1.5 over the value of property over 100,000 to go into the CPs, to go to the CP, fund the CPA. The mayor has proposed that it be increased to 3%. And my understanding was that there was a hearing. It was maybe a committee hearing a couple weeks ago where they made the decision to, and I'm not going to pretend I understand Somerville legislative process, but
Mhm.
but they made a decision, to have another hearing or another meeting to discuss whether they would actually put it on the ballot for this November. And I'm not sure if that second meeting has happened yet.
Can you ask Roberta or
Yeah.
whomever to let us know?
Yeah.
Have her tell Malik, and Malik can send out an email to all of us so we know.
But I think the expectation is that will be approved, because there didn't seem to be any substantive resistance to it. There was, I think, in our meeting, people had some concerns about how quickly that would have to happen and how quickly we would be able to, they'd be able to ramp up support for it between now and November.
Right.
I think the city's view, as I understood it, was they wanted it to be this November and not wait, for the next election, because there was a presidential election and they have this expectation, of higher, of much higher participation. So they really wanted, I think, to be passed on a, which is nice, which is good, I think. So they wanted to happen in an election with, with a lot of visibility.
Okay.
Um,
So you.
But I will, yeah, I can get back to you with it, but my understanding was, oh, okay, actually I have a note. CPA, the hearing on the ballot initiative is going to be on August 22nd. So I do have that information. My notes are better than I realized.
I suppose you don't know the details like Zoom or in person or anything like that.
I think the council, city
It'll
council,
be a city
in
council
person.
hearing.
Yeah, I believe so. And I
Okay.
think those have all
So it's
been in
gonna,
person.
it's actually gonna be a city council, part of a city council meeting.
I mean, like I said, I'm a little vague on the process, exactly who it is that makes a decision about, I mean, is that, maybe it was a subcommittee that decided to put it before the full city council on their August 22nd vote, and maybe the full city council has to vote on it for it to become a, ballot initiative. That would seem to make sense, but
Okay.
I don't know 100%.
Okay. Great. Thank you, David.
Mhm.
The next item is the Community Garden Subcommittee. Malik, any updates on there? I know that this stuff was delivered. I saw it. And you're muted.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth and miscommunication, but everything has been delivered finally. All we could do is try and do better next year with the coordination of that. And there's that. I also did not have on the agenda the community gardens program, like I usually do. So I was wondering if I would loop this topic in now, or if I should deal with incoming correspondence. But we've received some collaboration inquiries with Boss Lab. I believe I forwarded an email along to you in regards to that, but I invited them here to speak today. So whether that's an incoming correspondence or community gardens program, that would be the next thing I have to say on either.
And I don't think I saw any correspondence from Boss Lab, so I don't know if it went to all of us or.
Let's see. Let's forward that along.
Fine, but just Wendy, just so you know, you may have to give us more background than you may have assumed.
All right, so all right, I'll forward anything I have along, and in the meantime, I guess if it's all right with the chair, these people are here to speak.
Okay, I didn't see the email either, so this is totally new to me.
I forwarded this to Cindy and yourself, I believe, like a while ago.
Oh, well, it may have gotten lost in emails. But I see there are two people here from Boss Lab. Which of you would prefer to be the spokesperson? Okay, Wendy. Wendy, I'd like you to start off by introducing yourself and explaining to us what Boss Lab is, and then going into what your proposal would be.
Sure. So my name is Wendy Pouliot. I'm the Executive Director of Boston Open Science Lab. We are a science-based nonprofit with the mission to make science accessible to everyone in the community. And we do that by removing the barriers to science, like education, access to tools. We run a physical laboratory that is open to the public. The proposal I have today, and I have a few slides, so if you want, I can present those, or I can just talk through it.
You can go ahead and share the screen, Malik.
Alrighty, I believe you are slated to share your screen.
Awesome. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So again, Boss Lab, we're a science-based nonprofit. We have been selected to be a pilot site for a project called the Little Lab Network. And so what I'd like to talk today briefly about, and just to gauge your interest and your feedback, is what I think could be a really great collaboration between us and the community garden program. Christine has joined me also. She is a member of our community and she's helping spearhead this project. So first of all, what is the Little Lab Project? It's really a group of individuals who are trying to build a network of these little labs, whether it be in your own backyard, on the bike path, in a walkway. And its aim is to really expand the community's knowledge of biology and to provide them some tools for discovery. These spaces are really meant for, creation, discovery, sharing, knowledge, culture, tools, experiments, and even art. So they really are considered to be a resource for the community that's driven by the community. The inspiration for these really comes from the Little Free Library, which I think most of us are familiar with. And it's really about building community. And for this, it's building community around science and art. So what we envision, so we've been selected as a pilot site to test this out and to build our version of a little lab. And what we envision it looking like, and there's flexibility based on the needs and interests of the site that is, collaborates with us. We envision this being a freestanding installation that resembles a microscope. It would be equipped with educational materials and magnifying lenses at high and low. And then, this would give someone the opportunity to really explore their world around them at the microscopic level. It would have different accessibility features. We would have two different heights to address individuals in wheelchairs. We'd have large print for the individuals that are somewhat visually impaired. The directions and information and signage on the installation would be bilingual, and it would be entirely maintained by our organization and funded by our organization. Why I think this could be a great collaboration with the community garden is that I think a little lab in a community garden would allow the public or the visitors to really explore the biodiversity of a community garden, by looking at the plant biology, the pollinators, the soil microbiome. And at the end, this would, really give, I think, the community a sense and appreciation for the ecosystem in there, the garden ecosystem within their city. And so today we really just wanted to present this to you and to gauge some interest, if this might be of interest for a collaboration between us and the community garden program, and any feedback you have. So I thank you for your time and allowing us to present this to you tonight.
Thank you very much. How many of these are you thinking of? There'd be one, or there'd be like several around the city?
Right now, we've received funding to build one, and we've applied for additional funding to build more.
Yeah. Okay. So this would be kind of the pilot.
Yeah. Just to gauge, how does it work? How does the collaboration work? The group, the Little Lab Network, is expecting to go nationwide in 2025, and I think they just want to collect, sort of information and feedback on what's working in different communities, what's not working.
And these things would be kind of tethered, but presumably close enough to garden and soil and so forth to be able to see stuff.
Yeah, so, the hope in the community garden is it would be a structure that, either could be mounted on a pole that's in the ground. I think right now we're kind of favoring just a heavy base so that it could down the road be moved to a different location if this wasn't the right location for it. And I forgot the other part of your question. My apologies.
Well, it was just about, about the mobility of it, like, because theoretically you want it to be flexible enough that you can go over and see that cool thing over there, but not so flexible that, you take it home with you.
Right, exactly. And so the design, we're really in the early stages. We have ideas about the design. And this is partly why we're getting feedback from, potentially different collaborators. And so whether it's, a movable microscope lens, we have the possibility of purchasing sort of cardboard lenses that could be used to go around the community garden. And, there's flexibility in what the theme is ultimately, and we want to do that based on the site.
And what are you looking for from us specifically at this point?
I think whether or not it's a possibility that one of the community gardens in Somerville could be a site for this installation.
My first thought is that this is an issue that should be taken to the community garden subcommittee and discussed in depth with perhaps a real proposal from BOSLab that we can look at and discuss, and then we would bring it back to the commission. Obviously, it's very late in the gardening season. I assume that, if this were to happen, and I'm not saying it is, we would work it out over the winter and start it next spring. So I would, we don't have a community garden subcommittee meeting scheduled at the moment. Malik, is it possible to do one in September?
I actually would kind of maybe take it back half a step, Michael, because the community garden would seem like an obvious place to do it. With the exception of Lincoln Park, most of them are locked.
I agree. That's one of the big questions is access.
So instead, what I was thinking is what I would consider as link. I mean, if you want to do it in a community garden, Lincoln Park is the only one that's not locked, except unless there's someone there gardening. But the other thing is Somerville's done a lot of put in a lot of these pollinator gardens, and they put in that hot Kauai,
Mayakawi forest.
So there might be so it may well be that might be a better match. Where and they're already kind of like a sciencey experiment, the pollinator gardens, because there's theoretically, intentionally trying to bring in the pollinator, and so they're already kind of have an educational foothold. So that would so not to sideline you too much, Michael, but I would think that would actually maybe be a great match.
That actually is not a bad idea. There is a great pollinator garden on the bike path at Lexington Park.
Right.
There is
a lot of foot traffic.
Yep, a lot of foot traffic. And you can, it's right there. You can access it. There's no fence around it. There's also the Miyakawa forest.
Miyawaki forest.
Miyawaki forest.
And then there is also a small installation of a pollinator garden outside of City Hall on that slope.
There's actually two kinds of pollinator gardens outside City Hall. There's one that's kind of a naturalist type where it just sort of goes, and then there's one that's more
manicured.
Thank you. That's a good word. And then there's the forest, of course, which is on the other side of the high school, between the high school and the library. Those are all things that probably would more lend themselves to this kind of thing than the community gardens, because as David said, except for Lincoln Park, access would be a real issue. So.
And Wendy and Christina, I'm not sure if you're Somerville, residents, but I'm sure Malik can send you a list of the places that we were just talking about, and you could go and look at them and decide, if one of those looks like like a better location for you. All that aside, I would love for the Conservation Commission to be kind of a partner, in anything like this. But I just don't know that a community garden is going to be the best place for it.
Well, these sites sound fantastic, and you're right. We really do want to pick a site that has a decent amount of foot traffic and is accessible. So I think these pollinator gardens sound like they could be really a great site. And, you know, our intention tonight was just to see if this was even a possibility. Over the next month, we're going to put together really the final I say the first version of the design with a mock-up. And so the hope is to come back to you with sort of what we envision it looking like and all the logistics.
But also, and Malik, I don't know if you can connect to, because I have no idea if you want to coordinate with someone that oversees the pollinator gardens or the Malawaki.
Would that be Allison, Malik?
Yes, it would be, and I could put you in touch with Allison and kind of
so-
be the bridge of that
Yes. Right, so
conversation.
not that I'm not happy to, to look at the plan, but I think if it's gonna go on one of those parcels, they're probably gonna be the gatekeeper.
No, this is great because this really allows the person who coordinates the site or is in charge of the site to have a big say in the design of it, right? Because
Yeah.
at this point, we have the flexibility of changing the design and modifying it.
Great.
Yeah.
So Allison, Malik, you will put them in touch with Allison.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And feel free to come back to us if you
Yeah.
feel like you need an advocate, with this.
And if you communicate with Allison, feel free to CC us as well.
Yeah, exactly.
This is great, and we appreciate the feedback, and I really look forward to bringing back the model to you and getting additional feedback before we do the final build. So thank you. I really appreciate your time this evening.
Great. Thank you for
Sure.
coming.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming.
It sounds like an interesting project.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting, actually, and I think it's great that we've been selected as, one of the pilot sites.
The only thing I worry about with the little free library, everything comes and goes. The
Mhm.
point is, it's supposed to come and go. And if you set up a place with magnifying glasses and such, won't those be going as well?
Well, the intent is, yeah, to have something that they can take away.
And-
But there are lots of different ways we could have a little lab. They're defining it as it could be a seed exchange of native plants. It is so our version right now is to be more we supply you with something and spark your curiosity. But down the road, there are definitely ones that it could be an exchange. Maybe you're participating in a citizen science project, and so you're trading data and getting information and doing observations. So
If there's a company that makes little teeny cheap cardboard loops, I think those would be great to be able to
yeah.
let people assemble and take home with them, and then, show them how to use the loop.
All right. Well, thank you for coming.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Have a
Thank you.
Good night. Is there anything else we need to talk about on community gardens, Malik?
No. Well, I believe we need to set up when the next subcommittee is.
Well, we need to do more than that. We have lost one of our key members of the subcommittee.
Oh, that's true. We most certainly did.
Would anyone else, as you all know, Tatiana left, and she was a good member of the community garden subcommittee. So if any of you would like to volunteer to fill in her space, please talk with Malik and or me. And we would be happy to have you. It actually would be good because it would otherwise just be me and Newton and Cindy and I assume you too, Malik. So. But would we need to set up a meeting in September or October or something like that?
I anticipate we're probably going to need to hear what the gardeners season was like, and that'll be the ending of their season before water shut off in October. So yeah, so that will be a good time for that, in theory.
In theory, all right. Well, I'll keep imploring the members of the commission to volunteer
And
between
I'll
now
keep
and then.
working on try to get more commissioners through the door.
Oh, and then there's that matter. If any of you know anyone who would be interested in being on this commission, please feel free to try to recruit them. I happened to spend some time with Carl, the guy from the Watershed Association last week, He is a Somerville resident, and I tried really hard to recruit him, and that was not successful. So if you know anybody who has the right kind of qualifications or the interests or the time, please try to talk him into signing up.
Malik, did you send the guy, Todd Prokop, the information about it? Because he was interested. And he wanted more information.
I believe I did.
Okay. I can send you his email address and then maybe you can send it to him if you did.
Yeah, I most certainly believe I did. So let's see. Yep, I sent him the information.
When did you do that?
Definitely. Let's see, it says 6/3/2024.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna follow up with him too and try to encourage him to join.
Oh yeah.
I'll do that because
Yeah.
he'd be great. He's so good. He knows so much about wetlands too.
Yeah. During one of my vacations on the way back, I tried to recruit the person on the plane next to me because I found out he was a Somerville environmental professional. So
Didn't work.
did not work.
We need to be able to offer a signing bonus.
Yeah, right. What's the signing bonus? The donut?
Oh, more than I got.
Okay. All right. Well, please keep looking.
All right, will do.
Okay. Any correspondence other than Bob's lab?
Yes, we have had correspondence from John Bronencat in regards to Delboy additional tree removals.
Yeah,
So
it was unclear. Do we have to do
no, this is
something about that? Or do we
this-
just thank him for letting us know?
yes, informational.
I mean, I think or we could say no, but or we could say they need to modify, but I think that's the least good result. My inclination is to thank them for providing that update.
Did you ever hear anything from Mass Water Resources? I saw them working on one of their outfall pipes on Boston Avenue at the river, and I'm like, gee, I never heard anything about that. I know they don't need our permission or anything from us, but I always hope that they'd at least let us know when they're working on or around the river.
They usually have.
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay.
Did you speak with them, Michael? Did you find
No,
out?
I'm just driving by.
Yeah.
And it looked like a crew. Probably they were just cleaning out the
Yeah.
storm drain or something, but
Yeah, might have been. Yeah, and I wouldn't expect him to come to us for that.
no, they're exempt anyway. But I just like, to know what's going on in our waters and our wetlands. Anything else, Malik?
Nope. Oh wait, I believe I sent you all an email. I forwarded it along before I went on vacation. What was it? It was just informational, nothing too crazy. Let's see. It was resource for inspection and maintenance of green stormwater infrastructure or SCM, stormwater control measures. So
What was the date?
it was 7/19/2024.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was just talking about the MS4 permits and updated information and all that nice information.
Yeah, I saw it.
All right.
I saw it. I wasn't quite sure what it was telling me. It was pictures. And
Other than that, that
see.
should be it.
Okay. Anything we need to know about ongoing projects? Have we heard anything from DCR about draw 7?
Nothing additional on draw 7. Delboy could have fit in there too.
They're just digging
Um,
away, right?
I reckon they are. I haven't personally been down there. As
Yeah,
yet.
they're still digging away.
Yeah.
I pass it quite frequently.
Big piles of dirt.
Big piles of dirt. They have some of them covered up with erosion controls that they haven't been using in a while. So it looks like they're complying. I've seen some straw wattles. So
Thank you. Let's see.
We haven't heard anything from Frit in a while. Anything going on at Assembly Row?
Not that I know of.
That's probably just as well. They're probably, since I've been hearing about the office space and laboratory space glut on the market, they probably don't want to build anything at the moment. So, especially with that other project building those big buildings right next door to them. So,
Did we kind of close our case on their water quality treatment devices?
That's on the city to maintain, I believe it was. to
Yeah,
take-
so we, yeah.
so that's between like the city and probably the commission in Luchica, with me somewhere in the middle.
Right. I think Luchica, I kind of trust Luchica to keep an eye on that.
do you have any action items for us to review, Malik?
Let's see. I am supposed to get our minutes in order. I've compiled a list of two things. I've compiled a list of commissioners that owe certain minutes going back to a certain time, and then I'll email that. I'm still going through the minutes to see or old videos to see who was supposed to do the minutes, as well as supplying my own minutes, and as well as getting everything uploaded so that everyone has access to the minutes. So I'm uploading everything onto OneDrive. Then I'm going to either provide all you guys links to that. Yeah, I'm going to provide all you guys links to those so you have it. And then, because I'm not sure if we have that much space in the Google Drive, it is gigs and gigs of data. And then I'm slowly have been trying to upload those online because I have to do it one by one, and each one takes as long as the meeting is. So it's been a lot.
I was sitting here today trying to remember if I'd said I would do April or May. I couldn't remember which it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, actually, I believe I have the file somewhere. Let's see. It's on the key drive. Let's see, minutes. Oh, there it goes, minutes file. Okay. 1 second. That was just before vacation. Let's see, opening, here we go. Let's see. We have 625 Bukili, 528 Kearns, 423 Drayton, 326 Fager.
Oh, March. Gee,
Vanessa sent out an email with links to a whole bunch of Zoom.
she did.
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about? I mean, so do we have them effectively now?
You do have them effectively now. Through
We just need to know what date we
through
said
the
we could
year.
do.
Yep. Oh, actually, I could just do that right now. Let's see. Let's see how easy this is. Because is that in the chat? Let's see how that looks. Wait, let's see. Cheer, paste. Oh, see how that looks in the chat.
Oh, there you go. That looks good.
Yeah.
It's missing February, but that's all right.
We
So-
did not have a meeting in February.
Oh. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And then also, I did stumble on a sheet that had Conservation Commissioner expertise, and I want you guys to mull it over in conversation, whether we're missing a specific gap in expertise with the commissioners who have left, and if we need to fill that gap in expertise with the new commissioners that are to come in. So what are we missing in terms of?
We need more naturalists,
More nat-
biologists. As Susan said, the person she talked to is a wetlands expert. We need more people like that
Yep.
who can walk out there and say, "Oh, this is pondweed. It's a wood frog. That's a." Not that we have those things in some.
And we have to, right, then we have to bring those things into Somerville.
Yeah, that's true, but still,
Yeah, I mean, I am a wetland scientist, so I cover part of that, but less biology experience, so.
That's right. You are a professional wetland scientist. I haven't seen a lot of people with that designation.
Yes.
So we need more wetland scientists and more vernal pools, right?
I also think there was a time when we had a lot of engineers, and I'm not sure, Susan, I don't know if are you an engineer?
Yes,
Yeah, so because that, in terms of being able to review the plans that we get, they're just a lot of squiggles to me.
Newton's an engineer, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's an engineer and he's got some stormwater background, which.
Yeah.
stormwater-
Yeah, he works-
He has a ton of stormwater background.
Yeah, he does the MS4 permit.
Yeah, he wrote
You
it.
can't get more into it than that.
Yeah.
And if you know any lawyers, we're low on lawyers right now.
There you go.
The only lawyer we have is retired, so. And because we deal with statutes and regulations, it never hurts.
Well, right, it was handy when we had someone that really knew the wetland regulations. And Megan, if you know those.
I know them very well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right,
All right. So we're perfect.
all right, then I guess we just about covered everything. Oh, who's gonna do the minutes for this month?
I'll do the minutes. It looks like I haven't volunteered in a long time.
Oh, okay.
I was also gonna ask, is there a way that we can, because I've seen some other conservation commissions electronically sign orders of conditions. Is there a way to maybe have that as an option just in case we're all scrambling to sign an
Yeah.
order of conditions?
Yeah, it's interesting because we need to figure out a way to do it without having multiple separate electronic copies. And then alternatively, I asked Alicia Galen, our Northeast Regional manager, I asked her if it was possible for me to sign on behalf of the commission, given if I wasn't able to sign all the signatures. And she sent me this interesting document that had a memo attached, and then it had the signature form, and then I would just sign on behalf of the entire commission and it would be accepted. So let me see if I can pull that up. It sent it to me.
My inner lawyer has trouble with that.
Oof, there we go. So it is
But-
better to see about the electronic signatures, even though it depends on the specific registry of deeds, whether they accept electronic signature or not. So that's what Alicia said. It depends on where.
Do you know if the Middlesex registry does or not?
Good question.
Yeah, maybe-
I didn't ask.
So maybe we can figure that out, because like Megan, I know people that other conservation commissioners that are on conservation commissions that sign things electronically.
Yeah.
So that part, it seems like we can probably get past, now if the registry of deeds won't accept electronic signatures in Middlesex County or whatever
Yeah.
we file them.
Then I believe we would just need to come up with an order of when or who, signs, but because I believe we'll just have a bunch of duplicate files that have one person's name on it. And I believe that was the scramble before, unless you have a living document somehow. Maybe that's easier with certain drive setups, but I digress. Oh yeah, that's right. Microsoft Word has that too. So if we could possibly do it and it's a one living document, that is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I know we do them at work with PDFs. You can sign the PDF and keep it open until the final person signs it.
Perfect.
Yeah, but you're the federal government, right?
Yeah, but we're still just using Adobe.
Yeah.
We don't have our own PDF program.
Yeah.
So
and-
Malik.
Yep.
Can I give you the assignment of finding out between now and September if the Middlesex Registry will accept
Understood.
electronic signatures?
Yep.
Okay. And if the answer is yes, then you have to figure out how we could actually do it.
There we go. And then I believe life gets easier from that point.
I don't know, my inner Luddite still likes ink and pen, but you know.
Well, my signatures are always better in ink and pen also. My electronic signatures are garbage. Except for the ones I've cut and paste. But yeah, I digress.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
that actually is the tricky thing, because the signatures that we use, which apparently are binding and legal, it's not a signed thing at all. It almost kind of looks like a stamp, and it's certified that you are who you said you are. But that's because I'm logged into my computer with like a pass key. So that's kind of what makes it more secure. Is I've got to be logged in and have the passkey, and then it says David, signed by David Turner on this time and this date, and it's all, and there's certification stuff. So it's not just a squiggly line that I put on the form. But the question is that sufficient?
And is that possible for everyone to do? Because
No, it probably. I mean, I can't do it on my personal computer because I don't have those certifications.
I don't have those either on mine.
So that might be the bigger, but again, other conservation commissions are doing it, and presumably they don't have those things either.
Yeah. So I literally signed my name about 50 times on a piece of paper, scanned it, picked the best one, and then I have that saved somewhere so that I could just put it in certain documents.
Right. And I've certainly gotten documents from like lawyers and banks and stuff, and they send you the thing and you sign it, and they're fine with that. I don't know how they're verifying that it was me that signed it, but.
And then it's kind of scary to have your signature out there digitally, I guess, if you do it that way. But
that would be the secondary question: is how do we do it? I don't know if anyone in Somerville does it, but we can certainly. I mean, I can call my friend and figure out how do they do it, in her town.
Yep. So it's just figuring out, ascertaining if they will accept it, one, and then actually figuring out how to do it in an efficient, official manner.
Right.
Two.
Right.
Got it.
Oh, and in the meantime, though, you're going to have signature pages for the order of conditions we just voted on, which will be on my porch whenever it is you get them to it.
Yes, I'm bad for person getting over there and signing stuff. So
it's not that. It's no big deal. It's just
I don't know. It's weird. I have like this mental block about it. I don't know. I don't have it written down in enough places, and it just slips my mind.
I do need to make a point of delivering them sooner rather than later, so it doesn't slip people's mind. So
we do have a statutory requirement to have them done within 21 days, I believe.
Yes.
So, and I will be away. Leaving the 7th, I'll be gone for a week.
All right, so things
you can put them on my porch anyway while I'm gone, and just tell everybody they're there, and I'll sign them when I get back.
So I will try to have it Thursday evening, the latest. On your porch, everything filled out, ready for signatures, and then within 7 days, I hope everyone's able to sign.
Yep.
And then I will send that out certified.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to cover tonight?
Oof, let's see. What's the agenda look like? No. That
All
looks
right.
like it.
All
So
right,
we're
then.
not doing a meeting in August,
We do
correct?
not meet in August unless we get an emergency request for an emergency NOI.
Yeah.
We don't see any coming down the pike at the moment, so the answer is no. So the fourth Thursday of September will be our next meeting.
Yep.
All right, so do we have someone have motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I'll be
Do
adjourned.
we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, then. Have a good month of August. I'll see you all in September.
Yeah, good night all.
Have a good vacation.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks.